Welcome to the Body-Worn Camera Pilot Implementation Program Performance Measures Training. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to learn more about the body-worn camera's performance measures and how to report them in the PMT system. Before we get started, John with BJA's Policy Office would like to say a few words. John, let me turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jimmy. Good morning, everyone. My name is John Markovic, and I'm a Senior Policy Analyst at the Bureau of Justice Assistance. I run the body-worn camera program. I'd like to welcome the 82 new grantees for fiscal year 2019 to the PMT training schedule. Our training webinar. I also want to let you know that we've scheduled a new grantee training for November 12th. Many of you probably have received a notification from our TTA provider, CNA, but just in case you haven't, we'll be sending that out again to the people who participated in this webinar, and that event is on November 12th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So just to give you a little bit of background, you're the 2019 grantees. There were 82 new grantees. So far in the body-worn camera program, we've awarded approximately 420 grants since 2015. And in the 5 years we've had the grant program, we've awarded approximately $82 million to those agencies, which will result in approximately 70,000 body-worn cameras being on the streets across the United States. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jimmy. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, John. That's great information for everybody to have. Now let's get into the rest of the training. This training will cover 4 sections. First, a brief review of performance measurement reporting and its importance to BJA and grantees. Second, we will discuss some common reporting challenges and then go over a few details regarding the performance measurement questionnaire. Finally, we will answer a few frequently asked questions and end with questions from you all. At the end of this training, you should walk away with a better understanding of why BJA requires you to report performance measures and how we use this information. During the training, you'll get an in-depth review of the body-worn camera specific reporting and some issues we see in the reporting to date. This section of the training will provide an overview of performance measures and the reporting process. So what exactly is the PMT? The Performance Measurement Tool is an online data collection tool for the Office of Justice Programs grant recipients. It is structured as an online questionnaire and is available year-round. The PMT contains lots of information and tools to assist you in reporting, so let's take a quick look. This table outlines the type of data you'll be reporting each reporting period, when your reports are due in the PMT, and whether you also need to upload your reports to GMS, or the Grants Management System. As you can see from the alternating values under the second column, you'll only report on the narrative questions in January, July, and during your last reporting period of grant activity prior to closing out your award, regardless of where that falls in the schedule. Note that reports are due 30 days after the end of a reporting period. As you can see from the table, the PMT is only open for data entry during the month after a reporting period closes. The PMT is accessible year-round for you to review and edit your data, generate reports, and more, but you will need to contact the PMT Help Desk to help you unlock reports as needed. The first page of each performance measure questionnaire outlines additional resources that may be helpful as you report. It includes reminders about the program's goals and objectives, and lists contact information for the PMT Help Desk and state policy advisors if you need to reach out with any questions. We like to note each program's goals and objectives as a reminder of why we are asking you to fill out this questionnaire each quarter. The measures are ultimately there to assess your progress toward the body-worn camera's program's goal, which is to develop comprehensive evidence-based and problem-solving approaches that incorporate body-worn cameras into their law enforcement practices. We also have a reporting tip on this slide. These reporting tips may appear throughout the presentation where we think there is additional information that can help clarify PMT reporting. This one highlights that some grantees find it easier to track the required data outside of the PMT in smaller time increments, maybe by week or by month, and then add it all together when it is time to report in the PMT to get their reporting period totals. We strongly encourage you to use whatever approach makes it easiest for you to report your totals each reporting period. This graphic introduces the variety of types of performance measures we use to track progress toward body-worn camera goals and identify areas of improvement. Inputs refer to program resources like grant funding, staff, and resources. Activities are the actions that convert inputs to outputs that eventually result in measurable progress toward the program's goals. These can include things like trainings and data analysis. Outputs are the countable products or services that result from these actions. For example, the number of cameras purchased and deployed and the number of staff trained in the use of said cameras. Outcomes speak to longer-term program goals like equipping staff with cameras and the systematic usage of those cameras. Performance measures have many benefits to BJA. It allows BJA to look at the body-worn camera program holistically, as well as at the local level to identify successes as well as potential areas of improvement, thus informing where training and technical assistance resources can be targeted. Performance management helps BJA and its grantees understand their progress toward key goals and objectives, and to track grant activity and progress to inform decision-making. It also helps BJA to communicate how budgets are spent, and finally, because it is required to comply with the Government Performance and Results Modernization Act. Now let's take a moment to do a review of what we have covered. We will put a poll for each question in the slides. Please respond and we will look at the results. How many days after the close of a reporting period is your PMT report due? Is it A, 7 days, 15 days, 30, or 45? Next question. How do performance measures help grantees? Inform budget and strategic planning and future funding, identify successes and areas for improvement, inform targeted TTA, or all of the above? Go ahead and select your response and we'll give it another 15 or 20 seconds and then we'll go ahead and close it out. All right, it looks like most people for question 1 selected 30 days, which is the correct answer. So if you did not select that one, then go ahead and note that. And then looks like everybody selected D for all of the above for number 2, which is the correct answer. Now let's get into a few specific questionnaire questions and how you should plan to respond to them. There are multiple types of questions that you will come across in the PMT. Multiple choice, where grantees select the response that best reflects their project's activity. Multiple response, where grantees select all responses that reflect their project's activity. And then open text, where grantees are able to enter both text and numbers to provide contextual responses. Additionally, there are different functions for the types of questions we ask. There are baseline questions where we collect information on activity before your grant becomes operational to enable pre- and post-grant comparisons. For example, where you say the number of body-worn cameras you intend to buy, and then we'll compare that to the number that you actually buy. There are carry-forward questions that reduce reporting burden by not requiring you to enter, but allowing you to update responses to questions where information is likely to remain stable. And then there are skip flow questions that reduce the reporting burden by allowing you to skip sets of questions that are not applicable to your project. As mentioned in the earlier part of the training, the questions in the PMT are made up of 2 main categories. The first is the quantitative program performance measures. This is where you enter the numeric data you collect over the course of the reporting period. For example, how many dollars were spent on cameras during the reporting period? Or how many cameras were purchased? The second section are the qualitative narrative questions. These questions are open-ended and do not require a numeric response. The narrative questions that are answered during the April through June and October through December reporting periods fall into this category. An example of this type of question could be, what type of equipment was purchased with BJA funding during this reporting period? Or what challenges did you face in completing your program goals during the reporting period? Remember, these questions are meant to capture the full experience you have with conducting activities with BJA funds, so the more information you provide, the better. The quantitative data you report is used to establish baselines, track performance against program goals, and create a nationwide picture of numeric data for BJA. Narrative questions are open-ended and give grantees a chance to express in their own words how their experience has been conducting program activities with BJA funding. Both of these categories are equally important for your reporting and you should take every possible measure to ensure the accuracy and integrity of your data. Next, we will go over the specific types of reports that are generated in the PMT. There are certain questions and issues that we have identified that are causing some common reporting issues. We will go over those now. Grantees are required to provide a response to all mandatory measures. However, if a mandatory measure does not apply to the activities funded by your award, we ask that you enter 0 and then provide an explanation in the additional comments section once your report is complete. Upon reviewing your complete report, you can select the blue Add Comments button. This will allow you to submit additional comments to explain why you are not able to provide data. A brief description such as, we are still in our planning period, or there was no activity during the reporting period, are sufficient responses. The information provides data quality by helping us understand the meaning of zeros reported in the system. When reporting out on the number of cameras you purchased with grant funds, we ask that you report each camera's purchase only once in the quarter in which you have received the camera. In order for you to report a camera as purchased, a couple of criteria should be considered. First, did you allocate grant funds or obligate grant funds for these cameras? And second, did you receive the camera such that it is in the possession of the agency that will be using said camera? If those two criteria are met, you should report the number of cameras that have been purchased in the same quarter as to when both those criteria have been met. What we do not want is you to put in cumulative values or report the same camera or group of cameras that have been purchased in multiple quarters. This will help us to get an accurate count of the number of cameras purchased and received. There are several ways that BJA enhances data quality. We do this through quarterly data verifications and site visits. Data verifications are done by the BJA Planning Performance and Impact Team, research analysts, and help desk support specialists. This process includes an assessment of data consistency and accuracy beyond basic automatic validations in the PMT system. When we do this, outlier or illogical data may be flagged. When this occurs, the help desk will reach out to grantees to provide clarification about the perceived issue. Please respond to those quality checks as soon as possible. It may be a simple data entry error or misunderstanding. Lastly, during site visits, grant managers may take some time to ensure you have proper procedures in place for reporting and may ask for documents to support PMT data entry. It is important to write well-defined goals and objectives to clarify your priorities and highlight criteria for success. The SMART mnemonic walks users through the important dimensions of a good goal or objective. They should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound or time-based. We recommend that you re-evaluate your goals twice a year to determine whether they should be updated and use data to drive this process. Lastly, keep in mind that the goal, especially as they relate to BJA grant funding, should be time-bound, typically within the grant period. Before we finish up, let's do one more quick review. Please respond to the following polling questions on the right side of your screen. Which is not a component of a SMART goal? Is it measurable, assorted, relevant, or time-bound? And then number 2, how does BJA verify performance data? All right, looks like most people got the first one correct, which was B, assorted is not the correct answer. And then number 2, looks like everybody got, or most people got that one correct as well, which was D. The answer was D for number 2 and B for number 1. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Now let's get into a few frequently asked questions in terms of this system. What do I do when I get an error message? Please follow prompts to correct any errors or discrepancies. You can then navigate through the federal awards page to review the data entry and report status. The PMT will time out after, what happens if I lost data? The PMT will time out after 30 minutes, so please make sure to click on the Save button often to ensure you do not lose data. If you have to or must leave your screen, hit the Save button, then log out, and you can resume data entry at a later point in time. What does a question mark mean? The PMT has definitions for many questions that are underlined in blue. Look for those if you are unsure what something means. If you need to edit already submitted data, you will need to contact the PMT help desk. Their information will be on the next slide. If you need to update your user profile information in the PMT, that will need to be done in the grants management system first, because that is the source system for profile information for the primary point of contact. There is a lag between when profile information is updated in GMS and when it gets transferred in the PMT. So please be patient. If you are a secondary contact, the primary point of contact can update secondary contact information directly in the PMT without doing anything in the GMS. Then lastly, if you are unsure what to do, follow the red buttons. Red buttons are used as indicators to the actions required on certain pages, such as the Federal Awards page. Here's the BJA PMT Help Desk contact information. Our office hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, except U.S. federal holidays. We strive to return everybody's email and phone call within 24 hours, so please don't hesitate to leave a voicemail or email, even after business hours. We will now leave the webinar open for about 5 to 10 minutes so you can download any handouts that were attached or use the Q&A box if you have any questions. Again, a recording of today's training and other user materials and resources will be posted online. On behalf of BJA and the PMT team, thank you for your time, dedication, and hard work. This concludes the presentation. We will now take questions.